I'm Justin Jorphy, and I'm in the Vactorverse.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back to another episode of the Vactorverse. I am Vactor, your host. And as you know, I have my very special guest and my co-host, I should say sometimes co-host, on Rant to the Future, Mr. Justin Jorphy. We've also had him on the podcast previously as the Ninja Turtle expert, and we're going to call upon his expertise here today. But Mr. Jorphy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm just glad to be alive during this turtle time.
Oh, man, it is such a good time. And specifically, it is such a good time because we just had a brand new trailer drop for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. And I got to say, 2023 is about to be the greatest year of animation of all time. If everything lines up, the Super Mario Brothers movie, Across the Spider-Verse, Mutant Mayhem, if those three hit the way that they are looking like they're going to hit, this is going to be the best year of all time for animation. So I cannot wait.
2025 gives us a crossover between all three.
Oh, if that happens, my lid will be blown. My hat will fly off.
That would be synergy.
I will fly Justin Jorphy out to come see it with me wherever I'm living at the time. So I can't wait. And actually, let's do a plug. You're going to be doing a turtle talk, a Mutant Mayhem talk.
Yeah. Following up after this, I'm going to be going right to recording a trailer talk with over at Rant to the Future with a buddy of mine that was on another episode where we talked turtles on that. So yes, we're going to go in, talk about the trailer, what we liked, what we saw, talk about its animation style, what we think of the cast, everything, because so much information came out in such a short time for that trailer and for that movie that we need to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. So if you guys are looking for some turtle talk, head over to Rant to the Future. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes. By the time this episode comes out, Rant to the Future's episode will already be out. So head over to Rant to the Future, listen to that, and then come back here and watch this episode. So I wanted to get Mr. Jorphy's take because, like I said, he's a turtle expert. Because of that trailer, there was a little bit of internet back and forth, a lot of discourse online, because April O'Neil is African American in this new Mutant Mayhem. I saw a ton of, well, she was always African American from the start. She was African American, and then I also saw why is she's always been white, so she should stay white. It's the white is right crowd. So I saw a bunch of that. So I wanted to get Mr. Jorphy's take on this. And before we get Mr. Jorphy's take, I wanted to get ChatGPT's take, which I'm hit or miss on ChatGPT's accuracy, because sometimes I'll put in stuff in there and it'll be so confident that it has the right thing while it's telling you something completely incorrect. Like, of course, Donald Trump is currently president in the United States in 2023. Like, it'll just say that, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess he is president. So let me ask. I put in to ChatGPT, was April O'Neil black in the comics? ChatGPT says, April O'Neil's race was never specified in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics created by Eastman and Laird. April's appearance was depicted with light skin, reddish brown hair, green eyes, but her race was never explicitly mentioned or depicted. And then it says, in later adaptations, including animated shows and movies, her race has been variously depicted as white, Asian, African American. But in the original comic books, April was not portrayed as black. Now, Mr. Jorphy, how accurate is ChatGPT?
It's actually, I feel like, kind of accurate. There's a lot of interpretation, especially seeing as like the original comics were done black and white.
Yes.
We didn't have the green eyes. We didn't have reddish hair. And that, if anything, if you really look at like those first appearances of April, her hair is quite kinky and like not typically of Anglo-Saxon nature kind of thing. It's not a Caucasian hairstyle, unless you're me, with usually has a fro going. But like, so there was that. I always personally, especially Mirage April, read her as being more Afro-Latina than anything, because it's New York. There's high African American populations. There's high Dominican populations there, and then with the last name O'Neill, it actually there's no precedent for a crossover between those sections with Irish and that. I mean, like we even saw that with what was it? Can't think of his name now. For the Earth Green Lanterns, I can't think of it. Kyle Rayner was being, that kind of mix too, with being Dominican and Irish for him. And so it's part of our reality. And then she very much came off very ethnically not white to me. But when we go to the Eastman Laird autobiography, we can pull up some information that has thankfully been gathered to us by TMNTpedia, and that April was named after the late April Fisher, who was the TMNT co-creator Kevin Eastman's first late wife. April was originally planned by TMNT creator Peter Laird to be an Asian woman, as stated in Kevin Eastman's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles autobiography. Originally created as an Asian character in Peter's notes, but named after an African American woman. Eastman once knew the character April O'Neil was introduced in issue 2. However, the concept was never realized, and April ended up being portrayed as a white-looking woman in most published Mirage TMNT work, with the exceptions of a few more racially ambiguous appearances, such as issues 4 and issues 32. So those first, especially in its colorized printing for 32, which I think you saw a picture of that in your April short.
Yes.
Yeah, from the colorization there. So in those first appearances, and like, I'm going to say this, I love TMNT. Eastman Laird's art, like, it's not the best at all times. I mean, do you ever see the original Splinter looking dog looking guy? But I feel like it's been allowed for us to have a more racially ambiguous April from the start. And then the 87 cartoon introduced us with the redhead reporter April. Going from there, we've seen it continue on to 2003, where she was, more her science side, but still, April was still the redhead and white. We then continued that to 2012. We saw it through the live action movies. We saw it through the animated movies. We then saw her not being a redhead in the Bay films, being played by Megan Fox. But then we come over to, what was it? TMNT or Rise? Yeah.
Yes.
Rise of TMNT, and she's not white there either.
Yeah, and there's nothing fundamental about the character. Like you said, being from New York, there's nothing like, oh, only white people exist in New York. She can only be white, and that's vital to her character specifically. We can't do it if she's only white. And even I don't know if you notice in the, well, you're going to talk about it in the trailer breakdown, but even hearing some of the voices, and I think it's Michelangelo specifically, and I'm like, that's a black guy. That's not, you don't have to have.
I think Michelangelo and Donnie are both portrayed by black voice actors in this,
Okay.
which I'm 100% for. I mean, there is nothing that says any of these characters are specific outside of maybe Splinter, who should probably be Asian.
Right.
But we've also had Tony Shalhoub voice him. And that worked to some degree. But, like outside of Splinter, I guess, nothing is specifically anything racially characterized to them.
Yeah.
Nothing like April is inherently a blank slate of a character that, for when it comes to race, you could make her anything and it will not change anything to do with the overall depiction of the story. If anything, I think it makes more credence to things too, with her family being like with her scientist father backstory too, and how he'd been pushed out of the science field, and that it makes almost more sense there because of, unfortunately, racial bias, and that them owning a pawn shop, and that too within the New York neighborhood that they were living in makes sense. There's sort of things there.
Yeah. And you are correct. I was looking up the cast. Micah Abbey plays Donatello, and Shimon Brown Jr. plays Michelangelo. So they are both African-American actors.
First heard Shimon Brown Jr.'s voice as Michelangelo, I was just like, that boy's Mikey? That is a Mikey. And I say this as Michelangelo is my favorite Ninja Turtle.
Yeah.
And we even saw, though, in the recent TMNT Power Rangers crossover with Mikey and Donnie also being both portrayed as black in that. Because they have like a wrist like hologram thing that Billy's helped them develop, and that allows them to walk among the humans as humans.
Yes, man, I can't wait. Yeah, that crossover has been fantastic. How far are they into the second one? How many issues is it? 2 or 3 that have come out?
2 or 3, I think we're at right now. Yeah. I haven't picked up comics for a minute, but I'm on issue. I have just read issue 2 last night.
Yeah, that crossover, this new trailer, the main title, the IDW title, like, it is a great time to be a Turtles fan. And
absolutely.
Shredder's Revenge came out last year. I love that game, but I wish there was a little bit more content to it. I wish there was more levels. I wish there was more DLC. Because I finished it so fast, and I was like, man, I want more.
No, I was in that same boat. Cowabunga Collection too actually came out last year.
Yes,
that was a lot of fun. I've got it on my Switch. I enjoy it.
Yeah. So, man, there's just so much good Turtles content. Worrying about the race of April O'Neil is not your biggest priority right now. If you're a Turtles fan, there's just too much great stuff coming out. So honestly, I don't think
we have a great actress for April O'Neil.
That's another thing.
I enjoy her. I enjoyed the Bear a lot. And her in that, she's great. So if you haven't watched The Bear, I highly recommend it. I don't know if it's on Disney Plus for you guys. It's probably on Hulu.
I think it's on Hulu.
It's on Disney Plus in Canada. If you got Disney Plus stars, that's there for you.
Yeah, she plays Adumu.
Yeah,
in The Bear. Yeah, I had that on my list, my Hulu list, but I have not had a chance to watch it yet. So that, I think, now is going to move it up my list, that I can watch April in something else before Mutant Mayhem. But man, I can't wait for August when the movie comes out. Yeah. And I think, Jorphy, we've done a very good job of clearing up this April O'Neil background. So for anyone out there who's wondering, was April O'Neil originally black in the comics? Now you have your answer. So I want to thank Mr. Jorfi for joining me today. And I also want to plug Rant to the Future, where Mr. Jorfi is going to be talking all about this Mutant Mayhem trailer. I can't wait to listen to that myself. Like I said, Jorfi hasn't recorded it yet, so I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I have no doubt it is going to be fantastic. So I'm going to leave some links in the show notes down below. But let me know in the comments, what is your favorite version of April O'Neil? Out of all the ones we mentioned, what's your favorite? Leave that in the comments down below, and perhaps Mr. Jorfi will return to talk some more TMNT. Mr. Jorfi, thank you so much, my friend, for joining me, and you are always welcome here in the Vactorverse.
Thank you for having me on.